The Unfiltered by Jade.
Jade. Welcome to The Unfiltered by Jade, where we get out of the box and dive into topics that are sidelined. I look forward to entertain, educate, and inspire. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, donate, and make everybody know about this.
Beats by RB Records.
Shopping assistance, your style, your budget. Our services include online and local shopping for individuals and businesses, personal shopping, purchasing of company and office supplies, importing and exporting small packages across Jamaica and worldwide, and helping you find unique gifts and items for all events and occasions. Contact us at 876-919-5195 or shoppingassistance2015@gmail.com. Shopping Assistance, your style, your budget. Welcome back to The Unfiltered by Jade. Today we have with us here a special guest. His name is Pastor Hartman. He's a preacher, author, and advocate. And today we're going to be speaking with him about how men process grief. Hi, Kevin. Welcome to The Unfiltered.
Hello. Thanks for having me today. I'm just happy to be here.
Awesome. All right, let's get into it. When men experience grief, how does it often show up differently than what society expects grief to look like?
Such a good question, because when men experience grief, sometimes when you think grief, you think about the crying, the tears, the sadness, which are real emotions.
Yes.
But sometimes we bottle things up.
Yep.
And sometimes grief can look like busyness, I've noticed.
Explain that.
Sometimes our way of processing grief is keeping ourselves busy, to avoid having to sit and deal with the emotions that vary when grief happens, So instead of feeling and sitting in the sadness, like you could argue that we should, we'll keep ourselves busy, keep our agendas full, sometimes start new projects to distract ourselves.
Okay. What are some of the common emotions then? Because I know you're speaking about being busy so that you don't have to deal with the emotions, but what are some of the emotions then that men face or they feel during grief, and it can go unrecognized or unspoken?
It's really like some of the emotions other than depression. You start to feel a lot of loneliness from my own experience. Because even I read an article that came out a couple years ago in Time magazine, and it even said, to just solidify that point, that 70% of men are more likely to die within a year of their spouse dying.
Yes.
Loneliness is a huge thing, because even if you're not losing a spouse, when you have a loss of a friend, a parent, or maybe even a job, it seems to isolate you a bit.
Yes. Many times people don't understand why isolate. Because they're like, why are you being to yourself when people are trying to be there and surround you and help you? What does it look like? Why is it that you prefer to isolate it than to be around community?
You just want to be vulnerable because of society and the way they paint men. And sometimes expressing yourself, showing your emotions, sometimes could be perceived as being soft or weak, especially for me as a Black man and our experience. Sometimes tears and expression of emotions can often equate the weakness in a lot of people's eyes. So people don't want to have that stigma attached to it.
Interesting. What role, though, does silence play in a man's life, in a man's grief journey?
Huge. Because sometimes you try to deal with it yourself. I think I was reading something. Only 30 to 40% of men seek professional help after a significant loss. And women are twice as likely to do that. So I just think men are just wired the way we're wired.
Right.
You're trying to be, if you looked at to be a protector, a provider, and a leader, and all of these things, sometimes it just feels safer to be silent about what you're dealing with. And sometimes I believe that we think if we're just quiet about it, after time, it'll just go away.
But it doesn't go away. It still stays there. You still have to deal with it, or not.
No, it doesn't go away. It gets bottled up and it just comes out in other ways.
Yes. But it's understandable, especially in society where people will, especially women, will look down on men who are
showing emotions, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because and I think that's why men don't, because how are they going to be perceived crying or showing emotions or being vulnerable when it is that they're
Mm-hmm.
experiencing grief? And I think they're afraid that it's used back against them.
I agree with you.
Hmm.
I agree with that.
How does grief impact a man's identity, especially when the loss challenges his role as a provider, protector, or leader?
That's a great question. I think that part, I think that varies who you lost, where you are in life when you lost them, and also the way you are raised or socialized.
Okay.
So I think that plays a big part.
Give us an example of that.
For example, me losing my father in 22, in November 22. When I lost my father, I had a good identity or a good idea of my identity as a man,
Right.
because by the time I lost my father, I was in my early 30s, as
Okay.
opposed to somebody I know pretty well who lost his father when he was only 7.
Okay. Yes.
So the way he looks at his identity, he felt like he had a harder time shaping his identity early on as a man.
Right.
Where I felt like even though I hate losing him at all, but I felt like I did have him through that molding process. So that helped me develop my identity.
So that's a big loss also. So
Yeah.
people are not also just grieving the person who passed, but they're also grieving the fact that their identity wasn't probably shaped well.
Yes. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Yeah, so that's a double whammy.
Interesting. What does healthy grieving look like for men, even if it doesn't involve tears or open emotional expression?
Healthy grief is just being able to take the time to talk to somebody. If you could just get a chance to talk to someone. And I also believe some of those bottled up emotions I think there's healthy ways to deal with them. Like, I still believe exercising. And even though this might contradict the point earlier about busyness, I think there's unhealthy busyness, but I do believe that there is a healthy way of being productive, channeling some of that energy for productivity or the greater good. So I don't think all busyness is bad, but I think busyness that leads to avoidance is bad. So I think talking to someone, being productive, exploring and learning new things, therapy, I think those are all key things. Safe spaces, support groups, I think they're all healthy ways for men to grieve.
And I know, Kevin, I'm thinking also in terms of support. I don't think that many people understand that sometimes silence is you supporting the person. For example, someone is grieving and, people always think they need to offer a word or, some quote, something to make them feel better. When sometimes people just need to just sit with them and be still.
And to be honest with you, some people don't need to say anything because they don't know what to say.
That part.
So sometimes, I think presence is the greatest thing anyway, Sometimes you just being there, being a solid figure there, people will sometimes start talking about you even asking.
Yes. Sometimes people just need a space to get off what they need to get off without you interfering or you stopping them or you having something to say. Sometimes they just want to be heard. So grieving also looks like just sitting down and just talking to someone without it even being, sometimes it don't even need to be a conversation. It just needs to be, let me get this off my chest. I just need you here. Just listen. Just listen.
Yes.
Yes. But then we have the other side of it where sometimes we don't know how to say that. How do we say that to someone, without it also being coming off as offensive or disrespectful? Because sometimes people don't share what they're going through because they know people are not going to listen.
And that's why sometimes you'll notice some men will literally go ghost and isolate themselves. And you're like, where did they go? I haven't heard from them. They haven't been on social media. They haven't come to any of the family gatherings because they don't want to hear the nonsense you have to say.
Right.
Or they know when they do speak, you're going to interject your own thoughts or agenda in there.
Yes. It's an interesting point. What would you say to a man listening right now who feels like his grief makes him weak or broken?
I would really say that having emotions, even as a man, doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. And oftentimes in our lowest and weakest moments is when we learn the true strength, resilience, brilliance, and gifts that we have.
Yes.
And it takes us to get at our weakest point sometime to learn who we really are and to learn who God is and even learn who the right people are in our lives.
Yes, that's an important part. Yes, quite interesting. So Kevin, where is it that we can find you? If people want to talk to you, people want to interact, they want to buy your book, they want to book you for a show, where is it that you can find you?
Great. Well, you can find me a few places, which I'm happy to say. I'm on Instagram at kevwhartman.com. And that's my Instagram. So it's at KEVWHARTMAN. So at KevWHartman. And then my website is kevwhartman.com. And then I have my book, Journey Through Grief, A Long Road Ahead, which is on my website and is also on Amazon by Kevin W. Hartman. Facebook and TikTok as well. That's all the same at Kev W. Hartman. So yeah, you can find me on any of those platforms.
Awesome. I want to say thank you so much, Kevin. I mean, it was short, but it was good also in terms of speaking about how men really grieve. I think men want to have this conversation more so let even women understand what they're going through. Because understanding this allows for more better communication, and it allows also for more community instead of isolation.
I agree.
Yes,
I agree. And it definitely needs to be more conversations like this, help bring awareness to it, and let other men know that how they feel, they're not alone.
right. Yeah, they're not alone. So thank you again so much, Kevin, for sharing with this topic. And I'm hoping that our listeners will benefit from it. And that yeah, and they'll take it to heart. And the society also needs to stop labeling men as soft or weak when it is that they're simply grieving. Because biblically, Jesus wept, right? And if Jesus can cry, why is it that men are not allowed to cry?
How about that? Right? How about that? If he can cry, I know I can cry.
Right? And it shouldn't be looked down on. Nothing at all. Jesus grieved his friend, lost his friend, and he cried. It was a big statement. Jesus wept. And if it is that he can not even just cry, but weep over a friend, men are allowed to cry.
Definitely. And the grief that you don't deal with now is always will resurge later.
Yes.
So it's good to deal with it now because stress, anniversaries, new losses will trigger it right back up. So it's good to deal with it now. And I'm glad that people can, hopefully this conversation helps people deal with whatever grief they're having, whether it's a loved one, whether it's a job, or whether it's even their own identity.
Right. Yeah. I'm hoping that people can take that from here and go to counseling, go to therapy.
Yeah.
It's okay. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't mean that you have a mental. Just go. Just go with an open mind.
Right. I agree.
Yeah. So I want to say thank you again for being here and sharing. And I want to say thank you so much to my listeners on the Unfiltered by Jade. We will be back next week, Tuesday. Thank you.